This is super common. And after coaching a bunch of students over the past 7 years, like we've just seen it over and over and over again. And once again, it's just because we're human beings. And so let's learn how to deal with these feelings so that you can start taking the actions that will get you to your end goal of becoming a physical therapist. So number one, so we feel like we're not good enough for a few key reasons. Turning dreams into reality. Hey, what is up? How are you doing? My name is Joseph Ngugi. I'm a physical therapist, also one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, where we help you get into physical therapy school without wasting time or money. Super excited for this specific video because it's one that many of us have just felt, right? Not feeling good enough as applicants. And so, as we have said many times in different videos, the greatest barrier or the greatest setbacks come from ourselves and our own minds and what we think about ourselves as applicants and whether we feel good enough, whether we feel like we're going to be capable enough to get into PT school. And this is super important because if I don't feel like I'm good enough, then I'm not going to do the actions that would get me closer to my dream. Does that make sense? So if I don't feel good enough, I'm usually like paralyzed. I don't take the actions necessary to become a standout applicant. And if I do feel good enough, then naturally I have the momentum and the energy to seek out resources and help and actually do the things that will help me get to my end goal. So this feeling of not being good enough is important. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what to do if you don't feel good enough to get into your dream school. So before I do that, if you're watching this and you enjoy this specific training or you enjoy any of our other trainings on this platform, be sure to like and subscribe and share this out with all your friends that you feel would value this. So let's dive in. Not feeling good enough. Y'all, like, this is super common. And after coaching a bunch of students over the past 7 years, like we've just seen it over and over and over again. And once again, it's just because we're human beings. And so let's learn how to deal with these feelings so that you can start taking the actions that will get you to your end goal of becoming a physical therapist. So number one, so we feel like we're not good enough for a few key reasons. And a few of them are, number one, it's comparison, right? So if I'm comparing myself to other people that are a little bit ahead of me, whether it's academically or you see certain qualities in other students that you feel are not you. And so because that happens, you're like, man, like I must not be good enough because that student has these qualities or that student has this GPA or that student is better at standardized exams or whatever, right? So comparison is key. So ask yourself, am I comparing myself to other students? Like, am I watching other students and what they're doing? And am I letting that intimidate me or throw me off? Or am I leveraging that? The second part is environment. So if you're in an environment that's just, leading you to feel like you're not good enough, whether it's family, whether it's just the space that you're always in. If it's negative, then you're gonna naturally not feel good enough, right? Other things that lead us to not feel good enough is asking ourselves questions like, will I ever make it? Like, will I make it? Like, will this even work out? Like, what if I put in all this effort? What if I put in all this work right now as a student? What if I do get into a PT program, but I don't pass my board exam when I finish PT school? Or what if I do retake all these classes and I don't get accepted into the schools that I'm applying to? What if I do have to reapply over and over and over again? Those lead to you feeling like you're not good enough. What if I don't have enough hours? What if I don't have enough this? And now I'm starting to just question myself, and that just starts to build and build and build. And the longer you entertain that, the harder it becomes to basically kind of push that aside, right? So these are super important. So let's talk about 4 things that will help you shift your perspective so that you can start feeling good enough. Because like we said at the very beginning, how you feel is super important. It's super important because if I start to feel like I am good enough, then, or if I start to feel like I'm on my path to being good enough, then naturally I'm going to take more actions that will help me get closer to my end goal, right? Because I'm gonna have more momentum, more excitement, more motivation to do the things that I need to do. Does that make sense? So the first thing that you need to do, if you want to start feeling good enough, because this is super important, is number one, start changing your environment. Start changing who you're listening to. Ask yourself, who do I spend most of the time listening to? Number one, You speak to yourself more than anyone else can speak to you. So we talk to ourselves the most throughout the day. So what are the things that you're saying to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself, right? And then secondary to that is like, who am I around? Like, think of the people that you're around every single day. Like, is there a lot of positivity or is there negativity? Right. And the cool thing is now that we live in 2022, right? You have access to a lot of content online that can kind of shift what your environment is, right? So I can listen to podcasts. I can listen to all these other things that allow me to at least like put positivity or things that are helping me like lift myself up as an applicant or as a student or as a person. And that starts to change your environment every single day. So you have to change your environment if you want to get one step closer to feeling good enough consistently as a student. Number 2, seek proof. Seek proof that other people have done it, right? Other people have done it with the same scenario that you're in, right? And I mentioned it last week, but this is super, super important if we want to give ourselves the best shot of getting into our dream schools. We have to put ourselves around others that have been through similar struggles. Number 3, work on your mind. Start nurturing your mind. Start nurturing it through what you're reading, right? So I always say, like start to change some of the habits that you have. If it's saying, you know what, I'm going to read a personal development book. So I'm gonna like have a habit of reading 10 pages every single day. Or if it's, like I said earlier, a podcast, or if it's YouTube or TikTok, like find things that are actually nurturing your mind, and they don't even have to do anything with physical therapy. Just start to believe in yourself more. Number 4, find a habit that's unrelated to physical therapy that you're consistent with, right? Because part of this is self-belief and self-trust, right? Feeling good enough sometimes is connected to how we feel about our ability to show up for ourselves. So if that's saying, you know what, my thing is going to be working out, and I'm going to work out every single day, or I'm going to work out 5 days a week, and you actually uphold that, it actually increases your self-trust, your self-confidence, and naturally you actually start to feel better about yourself. You actually start to feel like whatever challenges are ahead of you, you'll be able to navigate through. You start to feel good enough. The next thing is find ways to start taking ownership and controlling what you have the ability to control. And I think that's probably the most important one, because if I don't feel like I'm good enough, then usually I'm focusing on things that I can control as well as things I cannot control, right? So we have to be able to say, you know what, can I separate the two? What are the things that I can control? If it's classes, what are the classes that I can retake? If it's grades that I'm struggling with, how can I get help with studying? Right? How can I get tutoring? Y'all, I mean, like, I'm not even ashamed to say, like, when I was a pre-PT, I had 2 tutors for physics and 2 tutors for chemistry. Y'all, those classes were hard, right? And so I just recognized that, but my end goal was to become a physical therapist. So I was willing to seek out help, and I was not embarrassed about it. And I'm a PT today. So you have to ask yourself, am I willing to do the things that will actually help me solve the things that I can control? Right? You can control your environment. You can control your effort. You can control, obviously, the resources that you start to take advantage of. And especially now, like there's so many resources out there. But if you start doing that, and also filter out anything that's shifting your focus, right? Start to focus on the best possible scenario, right? Because when you do that, it also adds to that excitement. It also adds to that sense of anticipation over anxiety, right? And so if you start doing those things, then you'll start feeling good enough. And just remember, there have been other students just like yourself. There have been other pre-PTs who have been in a similar situation as you. And if they can do it, then you can do it too. So I hope that helps, especially if you don't feel good enough. And if even after listening to this, you're like, you know what, like I need some like specific help with building a game plan, with knowing what to do next, with knowing how to set myself up to be the best possible version of myself as an applicant, then do this. Text our number right now. Go text the word guide. We will know how to take care of you after that. Once we see that pop up, because we get tons of text messages every single day. Once we see that word pop up, we will know how to serve you from that point on. The number is 813-437-9467. If you text that number, we got you covered. That is it. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk next week. Have a blessed one. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this out with your friends. Keep crushing it, future doctors of physical therapy. Bye.